Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Quick note about it's later in the day than I normally record. It's actually well after midnight and on its way to 1 o'clock in the morning. I normally record these around 10 or 11 o'clock on my Monday mornings. Having some work done on the house tomorrow apartment, and it's going to affect the electrical and might affect my ability to record this and get the video out. So I thought I'd record it earlier, and having planned to do it all day and not having gotten to it all day, here it is. Also gave me time to think about it and to burn some of my time on playing Conan Exiles. During this time of pandemic, I have been doing a ridiculous amount of online gaming. My Wednesday night group, the Warriors of Wednesday, who traditionally met in person on Wednesday nights, has continued to meet online. And after a few abortive attempts to do some role-playing games tabletop style online, we settled on doing some computer games together, which means none of us had to run the game. Everything was all set up, and we found the games that we do enjoy playing together. So far, it's been Conan and Ark Survival Evolved, both of which are really, really good games. Conan, at the moment, we had to take a break from one to go to the other or a different game for a while. I'm sure something else will pop up. We keep saying the same thing about the games we really enjoy. They're very pretty. And both of these games are just gorgeous. And Conan has a lot of amazing vistas and wonderful scene pieces, amazing environment. It does environmentals very well for all that it does. Nice, smooth, polished game. Ark's a little bit more ragged around the edges, but just has so much more varied and rich content. The different experiences, but similar things. This is the monster manual for Dungeons and Dragons. It's full of bad things to put in front of your player characters in a D&D game. It is one of my more favorite editions of this book. I like how it handles most things. It suggests a simpler system or a more varied system, something that could be used to generate a lot of other monsters, which I keep thinking I'm going to work on at some point in time. But it's really good. Some of the artwork is not as good as it has been in previous editions. Again, as I may have mentioned before, it's all perfectly competent, really well technically accomplished. Yeah. Could use a little inspiration, is all. Their picture of a mind flayer looks like a guy in a mask. I'm sorry, the mind flayer in your book should never look like four teenagers and a talking dog are going to pull its head off and reveal that it's old man Henderson from the Haunted Carnival. Just bad look. What this book doesn't do, what it does many things well. It tells you what the monsters have, what their abilities are, how they attack, gives you all their numbers, gives you some lore, a little history, layer actions, gives you things that their layers can be doing while the monsters are doing. The layers of the monsters have their own actions during combat. It's really fascinating and flavors these combats. Fight a beholder that you just happen to find someplace else. That's terrifying. Fight a beholder in its lair, and that's a different fight entirely. What this book doesn't do is tell you how to telegraph the monsters. Any encounter in any role-playing game can be made more exciting, more engaging, more thrilling by telegraphing the monster. I'm going to see if I can explain that phrase. because it means a lot in my head and probably not much in other people's right now. I'll get there. It's late. I'm scattered. I'm wandering. Follow along. You're walking through a dungeon. You enter another 40-foot by 40-foot expanse of stone and tile, much like all the others. In the center is a beholder. What do you do? That's a fight, and there are people who are going to react to that viscerally because a beholder is a party ender. One beholder can stop your party in its tracks right there. Maybe not everyone's walking out of that. Someone's getting auto killed. Someone's getting disintegrated. There's some terrible stuff coming out of that beholder. There's a lot of attacks coming. Most of them do things you do not want done to you, or it's a pretty bad thing. But sitting by itself in a 40-foot by 40-foot room. A beholder probably wouldn't be sitting by itself absent of any other materials. Uh, the undead variety might. Wandering from room to room in a dungeon encountering monsters is boring. It's it's traditional and it happens, and there are endless numbers of dungeons written that way. And, it's a Friday night. It's beer and pretzels. It's okay, let's go kill some monsters, get some XP, and level up. I want some gear. I'm doing that in Conan. I want to go someplace that we're familiar with, get in there, have some fights. It's when you go someplace you don't know. It's when you go someplace you haven't been before on the map. And you start absorbing, as I did earlier tonight, this area. What does that mean? Why are these things here? These are ruins, but they have this name. Why are they called that? What did they do when they were there? Well, this place is beautiful, but they did something terrible here. What was it? What was the imagination? If you set up your monster with set dressing, environment, a little story, you get the map to the dungeon. I've got a treasure map to sell you. Apparently, this place has eaten a few adventurers, but you look like sturdy stuff. Legends say that there is an artifact here that'll grant you immense wealth and power if you're looking for that sort of thing. Also, probably help you with that deep, deep family problem that you have that makes you so edgy. Oh, but there's a legend that goes with this map. Now, not the thing that tells you what all the symbols are. I mean, it doesn't even have that. It doesn't even tell you what direction north is. I think that part got burned off. No, but there's a story. Yeah. They say that something deep and vile used to live there. Maybe still does. Deep, vile things live a long time. They say this deep, vile thing darkened the world around it, all the land. Couldn't grow like it can there now. Cattle, like they've got now, but before they'd dry up. Wouldn't give milk, their meat desiccated on the bone. Couldn't keep animals, couldn't raise a family, couldn't make grass grow. They say the thing that lived in there made everything terrible, sucked all the life out of the area. Did horrible things. Used it for some purpose I don't think any of us are ever going to understand. I'm sure it's dead. It was a long time ago, but just in case. I think somewhere, maybe it wanted you to have this map. Wanted someone to have it. Maybe it's hungry. But giant artifact. What are you going to do? Not go get the artifact? Some parties are going to shy away from that. Oh, too rich for my blood. Or, oh, that's just a story, and you're trying to scare us, old man. Which could, an adventure where that's the case, that'd be amazing. Where you go and it's all sideshow tricks, and And, it is an old man in a mask trying to run the Honda Carnival, trying to get more people to come by to put gold in the nearby taverns so that they can go get the spooky thing. That'd be amazing. A fake dungeon. But what if it's real? What it is? And you go there and yeah, there's these pillars every so often outside the dungeon structure, the temple. I don't know what I would call it. A ziggurat, maybe. That's kind of the shape, except it's really big. You can find these pylons outside, mostly stone. A stone not entirely from this region. There are crystals in them. I mean, not little crystals, not the things just growing out of the walls and in caves, but these columns, 10 feet tall, uh, resist your temptations or your abilities to break it, try and get it out. It's really, really strong. The pillars are going to last a long time. Don't know what they're for. There's writing on them. If you speak some bizarre dialect of outside language, maybe. Maybe it has some relation to Undercommon. Maybe you can put together a few words, but they're vile. They don't make any sense. They're all about doing terrible things to the land itself, to the earth goddess, to the spirits, to everything. But to all the primal stuff, maybe it's in a form of primordial. A fifth dialect of primordial that, oh, 4 elements, 5 dialects. What's that all about? The dungeon? These arched towers, but they're not arches. They're circles. They're circular holes. You have to step up over the bottom to get into them. This place was built specifically for something 8 feet across that was just sailing through this thing at about 2, 3 feet high all the time. That's how the whole place is built. It's uncomfortable to walk through because you're walking through a curved tunnel. There's no flat space. Your footing's always just a little bit off, disadvantage on dex check. And the things that you encounter, they're all ghosts, specters, incorporeal, spiritual, hauntings. They don't look like they match everything else here. You can see some details on them, but no, they don't look like they belong here. And maybe if you make the Arcana check or roll investigation, or better yet, insight at disadvantage, but give me a 15 or better. Now, these things you're encountering, they're not attacking you. They're trying to get through you to leave. They're trying to possess you so they can walk out. They're trying to get out and they're trapped here. And you show up and you're the only new thing here. They're going to claw their way through you to try and find another way out. And not a thinking response. They're not smart, not intelligent anymore, even the ones that might have been. Something's driven them bestial, feral. The spiritual power is here, the strength of the spirit, the substance of it. But the intellect, its memory, it's gone, if it was ever there. Something here, some force, something has been using the power of this place to draw in all the spiritual essence. Maybe that's what the writing on the pillars was about. Not just doing terrible things to the spirits around, but subverting them, capturing them, drawing them in, trapping them here with something, for something. And you pass through tunnel after tunnel, and maybe someone can make the Arcana check if they've been doing some mapping or trying to keep track of your path in, because the tunnels don't always make sense. They make 90-degree turns or 45-degree turns. They'll go angle up, angle down. It's not normal. And the up angled ones, yeah, you can climb them, but they're made out of brick. You can find handholds. The ones angled down, even more. You got to try not to stumble down those decks, Jack. 15, please. Did I mention those are a disadvantage? The guy who can make the Arcana check, one who looks at the maps, who puzzles out how he's been memorizing the passages. Like, it's all a set of symbols. It's all a set of sigils. We're following a path that writes something in an ancient language of magic. It's the one symbol. It's one of the most powerful symbols in the evil lexicon, actually, if not the most powerful symbol. Not a profane word, not some word of power, just the most important thing to an evil magical being. The word mine. You finally penetrate to what can only be the center of this huge tower cube, a hollow cube 40 feet to a side, maybe bigger. It's hard to tell dimensions in here. Everything's a little warped and warbly. Dead center, in the darkness, there's a reflection off of your torches and various other light sources. And the reflection slowly comes closer and resolves into a giant eye, staring unblinking at you. And as you view it, as it closes on you, floating through the space, 8 more smaller lights, smaller reflections, 8 more eyes become apparent around it. And as a single, baleful, gigantic eye fixes you with its gaze, and you can start to barely make out the two that maw beneath it, all of your magical sources of light die, as does all the rest of your magic. Roll initiative. This doesn't tell you how to do that. It has some suggestions for the monsters, or where there might be, how you might get there, but and most of that did a thing where we encountered the Witch Queen in Conan this evening, and it was beautifully. There's a whole city of ruins around that encounter, with lots of other things and poisonous areas, sea cliffs, and all of it pointed towards there being something just terrible there. Something terrible happened there. And then you walk into the chamber with the giant statues and the glowing faces on the wall and the big idol mask up right ahead of you, and under which is sitting the Witch Queen. With her dialogue broken in our particular playthrough, for some reason we didn't hear all the stuff that she has to say. But damn, we're really high level at this point. We've got really good equipment and really good armor, and I was out of healing potions, but we managed to get through that fight anyway because we watched our backs. And as rough as we were expecting the fight to be, it wasn't that rough, but we got the thrill of getting into that fight because of the telegraphing. A group of sufficiently high-level adventurers can kick the ass of a beholder 7 ways from Sunday. It might be a rough fight. You let it get a hit in, it's going to start disintegrating people, because that can happen, and has. But you're going to wipe its walls with it. The layer actions or not, unless it's got a lot of help. Beholders are individuals they're highly xenophobic. They don't like other stuff. Anything else in its dungeon is there in spite of the beholder and not because of the beholder. They don't have hirelings. To get a little mileage out of that particular monster with a higher level group, 8th or higher. I mean, an 8th level party would just kill a beholder and make toothpicks out of its teeth. You need to spice it up, give it some mystery, lay a path of breadcrumbs in enigmas and threats. Let them go through the path of greatest resistance, because in tabletop role-playing games and video games, you follow the path of greatest resistance because, one, that's all the XP and loot, and two, that is what the boss has put between you and it. So you can track the boss by the resistance to getting to them. Where do you come up with flavor? I stole some of that from StarCraft. Now, you need to construct additional pylons. Stories I've read, movies I've seen, 100 different elements from 100 different places, and yeah, you shake the dice, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I should be going to sleep in just a couple of minutes. I'm not. I've got editing to do, but you just let it flow a little bit. Shake up the stuff in your head. Well, okay, I've got this monster, and I'd like to use it because I think it'd be an interesting fight, but how do I lead into it? How do I telegraph that this is the monster? Not tell people that this is the monster. Not post a sign that there's a monster. How can I send the signals that let people know this is the monster and this is the fight you're having? By the time you get to the beholder in the center of the ziggurat, you are ready to fight the beholder. You might not want to. You might have taken some nasty turns, falling down tilted corridors and having to wrestle with specters. Might be down some life force. But you kind of know what's there. And then once you beat it, what's your artifact? Well, what's he been collecting all the spiritual energy for? You find some kind of orb. Give it some random abilities regarding spirit. This lets you cast Speak with Dead at will. It can cast not resurrection, but reincarnation once a day. It's a powerful artifact. The beholder was using it to keep itself going. It might eventually have ended up being his phylactery if he had gone a little bit further in gathering the energies necessary. It's a useful item of necromantic communication and last-ditch reincarnation. That's already potent. That's worth going to the dungeon for. Oh, treasure abound. Make some rolls on the treasure charts. A lot of gold. As things fell apart outside, the beholder just go gather it. Because why wouldn't it? Gold can be handy sometimes. And maybe it will draw other people there. The adventurers were meant to find the place, to succumb and perish and add their spiritual energy, as so many had before, as so many would afterwards had the adventurers not dealt with it. If they dealt with it. What happens if your character dies in a place like that? Well, let's go get him resurrected. Well, we would resurrect him, but where's his spirit? Yeah, the gods say they can't find it in the afterlife. You're going to have to track that down. Might be in an artifact under a beholder in the middle of a ziggurat. And now you got to go back. I guess it's partially about having a sense of drama, about a sense of what excites your party, what gets their blood flowing, what inspires them to go and do things. Maybe it's not the artifact, maybe it's the story, maybe it's a challenge, maybe there are moral issues. The spirits in the area are being deeply offended, and some of them are just missing, and we've got to track that down. That's an awful lot of power in there that something's got. I like power. Or maybe there's just someone in the party who's looking for a chance for it to be hero time. And this is obviously a chance to be hero time. Direct reference to one of Candace's characters. No, all my character can do is follow along. It is wonderful. Well, that's my ramble for the evening. Telegraph your monsters. From the biggest monster you've got to the smallest monster you got. If it's a troop of goblins, if it's some kobolds in the back of a cave someplace, telegraph. The danger isn't in the monsters, not entirely in the monster. The monster should be dangerous, but the story around the monster, the disappearances, the things that happen around that area, the terrible deeds and the deaths of the small, helpless creatures. Do something about it. You got to have that thing that inspires someone. Even the band of kobolds got something they got to do that you got to be taken care of. And maybe not kill them all, but for gosh sakes, you got to go stop them from doing the things. Give your monsters, give your opposition, give the opponents in your game a little more gravitas than you're used to giving them. Make everything seem a little bit bigger, and you'll be surprised. There'll be bigger threats. Give them some stuff. Let them be villains and inspire the heroes. From the first entry in that book to the last one, and all the other books out there. There is no monster out there that can't benefit from a little telegraphing. Wow, that's my midnight ramble, my past midnight ramble, my almost 1 o'clock in the morning ramble. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. Anything else you'd like to hear me talk about? If you'd like to, specifically request that I stay up way too late some night and start rambling on about something, leave me a comment below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you'd like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me at my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorman. Consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is What Has Mattered to Me. I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.